I was gonna say we spent all this time talking about Kyrie before the game, but like if we put all that nonsense aside and like he had a great game. And and we were just talking about how good the Nets look. Well, it's because Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant look like they haven't really missed a step, right? I mean, and that's what we said. Like the Nets are obviously going to be a really hard team to beat if those two guys are playing up to their capabilities. And yes, it's only 2 preseason games, but I mean, if they can stay healthy, I don't know how the Celtics.
Are you guys in on 1 or 2 seed now?
Well, so what I will absolutely eat my words on was the
Durant.
skepticism that Durant coming off an Achilles is automatically going to look like old Kevin Durant. I don't know in terms of explosive athleticism, but every other part of his game looked exactly like Kevin Durant. Like he just shoots up and over people, his quick release. He's just so comfortable and aware of where he is at all times, and you know what gets to me? Not gets to me, but this is where it's always going to, you see a game like this and you watch Jason Tatum and you watch Kevin Durant and you see the gulf between them, okay, in terms of their games. It's pretty substantial. And again, not to keep referencing ESPN's top 100, but if Durant is like a 9-10, 8-7, 8-9 player and Tatum is 11, that looks like a much bigger gulf between those two, where Tatum looks like a guy who can score and not anywhere near the level of like a Durant type of player.
The last time he was on the court, he was 1 to me, 1 or 2. So we'll see how far he falls off from that.
And that's the thing is, again, it's not fair. Where we're going to get stuck here is this whole Jason Tatum, he's still developing. Absolutely. But if Jason Tatum doesn't become close to Kevin Durant, the Celtics are going nowhere. Like he doesn't have to be Kevin Durant or Kevin Durant. He has to be a top 5 or 6 player in the league for the Celtics to have a chance with this group of people.
I Durant's game tonight, and what surprised me most, because I expected him to come back with some fire offensively. Defensively tonight, the double block on Tyson's side, rotating to the middle and just shutting down the paint the way he did. He got blew by a few times on the perimeter, but they were kind of playing a pseudo zone in that third. Defensively, he's already ahead of where I expected too. So like this is a massive development. If he is right, I don't even think the Bucks can touch them.
Yeah, it's legit.
I mean, it's unfair though, John, to compare the two. Obviously, I mean Durant's 32.
10 years apart. You said.
Wait, why is it unfair?
Because they're at different stages in their careers.
It doesn't matter.
That's fair.
It absolutely does matter because you're comparing Jason Tatum at this point in his career to Kevin Durant at his point in his career. And you're skipping the part that Durant's been in the league for 10 years longer, including the prime years of his career.
I think what you can do, though, is go back to Durant's 2012. Look at what he did there.
Durant was
I guess if you want to just compare numbers, but I mean, every situation is different. I mean, Durant's playing with Westbrook and Harden. Then he goes over and wins a championship. He's playing with amazing players in Golden State. I mean, this guy's had a lot of great teammates over his career.
Yeah, so was Tatum.
Sure, but he's had those great teammates at age 19 and
I'm
20.
I'm just saying eye test only, okay? That's all.
Sure, and I agree. He's nowhere near where Durant. He hasn't touched where Durant's peak was, right? But
he's got to get there. He's got to get. He's not get. If he doesn't get there, he has to get somewhere close for the Celtics to. Like I said, Jason Tatum has to be a top 5, 6, 7 player in the league for the Celtics team to be a contender.
And that's
Durant's like a 5, 6, 7 all. He might go down as a 5, 6, 7 all time.
Absolutely, it's a very tough comparison. But when you look at his size, his ability to shoot from a bunch of different places,
they are similar. Absolutely.
His defense, his profile, that he's a score first, shoot first guy, a lot of pull-ups. That's who he's trying to be when he grows up.
I agree with John on the point that there's a gulf between them, and that's not bold at all. Like there's definitely a massive jump between what Tatum needs to do to get to that point, and people talk about that. I mean, we have Goodman on the network all the time putting him in the Hall of Fame and saying he's definitively top 10 and all those other things. I've been a little more back on him, because there's certain aspects of his game that if John, as he wants to see him become the number one player in this team and be able to lead them to a top 2-3 seed in this conference, he needs to be able to get on the ball, be the lead ball handler every single play, and control this offense. And what you see these last 2 nights is he's nowhere close. He can jump on and off the ball, string together some great possessions, and the playoffs was a bold statement in that regard, that he's getting closer to that point. But still, like, even if he just starts to do that a little more this year, that'll be a success for him. And it's nowhere close to him being this ball dominant LeBron James, Kevin Durant player. Like, he can have a very successful year without getting to that point. And like the Kevin Durant, LeBron James point is just so far away in that regard that I think it's almost unrealistic to think he can approach that this year, especially without the relief around him. Now, he might go through a trial by fire, have some really big lows early this year and come out better on the other side for it. But the way I look at it, these first 2 games, it's going to be like Smart on the ball, Brown on the ball a little bit. Like, the way the system runs, it's never going to be Tatum on there all the time. And that's what it needs to be.